In the Quran, the holy book of the Muslim faith, you can find these words: "O Mary, Allah gives you glad tidings of a word from Him. His name will be Christ Jesus, the Son of Mary, held in honor in this world and the hereafter, and of those nearest to Allah." Surah 345. Held in high honor in this world. It's arguable that no one who has ever lived has been held in higher honor than Jesus, the Jewish itinerant preacher from Nazareth. Writer and historian H.G. Wells said, "I am an historian. I am not a believer, but I must confess as a historian that this penniless preacher from Nazareth is irrevocably the very center of history. But how he made his mark on history is probably the greatest thing about him. It wasn't through conquest. It was through his person and the things he taught." Artist Vincent van Gogh wrote about Jesus saying he lived serenely as a greater artist than all other artists, despising marble and clay as well as color, working in living flesh. That is to say, this matchless artist made neither statues nor pictures nor books. He loudly proclaimed that he made living men, immortals. Then there's the words of Albert Einstein, "I am a Jew, but I am enthralled by the luminous figure of the Nazarene. No man can read the Gospels without feeling the actual presence of Jesus. His personality pulsates in every word. No myth is filled with such life." Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Jesus Christ belonged to the true race of prophets. He saw with open eye the mystery of the soul. Alone in all history, he estimated the greatness of man." Artists, poets, scientists, historians, all from different belief perspectives, captured by the person of Jesus and holding him in high honor. For those who may, along with H.G. Wells, say they are not believers, they can still see the influence, impact, and mystique of Jesus. The influence is all around us, literally all over the world. In fact, it's so common we could easily overlook it because it's part of the backdrop of our daily reality. Consider architecture, from breathtaking cathedrals to simple country gathering places. His name lives on. The Western calendar now uses the term Common Era, but the numbers haven't changed. We all know it comes from the dating of his birth year. He's the subject of nearly countless paintings and sculptures inspired by his person, the stories he told, and the teachings he proclaimed. Then there's the music. It's hard to imagine how many songs he has inspired, and they range in style from Bach saying that he composed to Jesus' glory, to the classic rock of the Doobie Brothers, and to a shout-out by Post Malone. The celebration of his birthday is arguably the most enthusiastically celebrated holiday in the world, and the most widely celebrated. The mode of his death is memorialized everywhere, from cemetery plots to jewelry. He never wrote a book, but his words have spurred on authors of more books than any person who has ever lived. Some of the greatest universities in the world bear his name: Oxford's Christ Church College, or Cambridge's Jesus College, and Harvard University was founded with this stated purpose: let every student be plainly instructed and earnestly pressed to consider well the end of his life and studies is to know God and Jesus Christ. Then there's the scores and scores of charitable, relief, and justice-bearing organizations all over the world who credit their existence to his existence. Ever notice how many hospitals have names associated with him in one form or another? So much of who Jesus is what many of us aspire to be, even apart from belief in God or religion. We want to be strong, compassionate, purposeful, and loving. But without question, Jesus' own worldview was God-centered. He declared that in many different ways and many different times. His entire message centered around viewing God as his Father and being sent by him in order to fulfill a mission in the world. This may be why we feel drawn to him, but also uncomfortable with him. He's the man everyone seems to admire, but most are uncomfortable talking about. He said, "Come to me, you who are burdened and weary, and I will give you rest." He offered forgiveness and kindness to the downtrodden and cast aside. He associated with people he wasn't supposed to. He is heroic in his mercy. But he is also, as writer C.S. Lewis said it, intolerable in his severity. Jesus pronounced hard-hitting judgments on whole villages. He held out the possibility that you could lose your soul. Jesus is such a powerful and towering figure, it's reasonable to ask the question, who is Jesus, when we assess our view of the world? Should we be content to admire him from a distance? Or do we dare to take the chance, draw close, and let him speak to the most important and meaningful questions of life?